Okay.
Yeah, we're good?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call to order our July 9th, 2026 West Fargo Library Board meeting. We will start with roll call. I will start with Sarah, who's online.
Aye. Here.
Hi. Perfect. Tyler?
Here.
Tony?
I'm here.
I didn't hear Tony, but I can see him.
Yes, I am
So-
here. Oops, sorry.
Okay.
Mic on. Thanks.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Tony.
All right.
All right, well, that's our full crew here. We are looking for an approval of the order of the agenda.
I'll
So we'll
move.
need a motion. Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
A motion, a second. All those in favor of approving the order of the agenda, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. I didn't see any public comment. Jenna, was there any public comment?
There was not.
Okay. Next, we will look to approve the consent agenda, which includes the regular agenda, old business, it includes, the approval of minutes and the financial reports. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
And I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, motion passes. Next, we will move to our new business. Our first item, which is an action item, is the election of officers and subcommittees. And so we do have, there is a link there to really look at kind of board member officers and but looking at what the article says in our bylaws. And this is July, so this is kind of our first of the year. And so we should look at electing people into duties. And so they do have, within that sheet there, they have kind of what each member does within that. So this would also be a time that we could look at any adjustments to that as well. If there's any changes that we'd like to see in what the officers do. Jenna, did you want to add anything to that, or board members as well?
One thing to note is we do have an open seat on our board at the moment. I did take a peek through Robert's rules, Century Code, and our bylaws, and I can't offer any legal advice at all. I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV, as the state librarian is known to say. But I think if the board were interested, an option would be to table election or appointment of officers until all seats are filled, to give a new member an opportunity to be one of those officers. But that's up for board discussion. I just wanted to give that other option as well.
Sure. Thank you.
I also do think it might be best practice, if there were any changes to make to bylaws, to read through them twice or look at it twice before
Probably.
approving.
We should probably review it at a meeting, talk through it, and then come to the next meeting for an action item.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Are there thoughts? So Jen and I were able to speak a little bit around, we do have an open seat. So just, it's one fewer for us. And I don't know if there's other thoughts on if we postpone this until our open seat is filled. And that is our next agenda item as well, is just talking about appointment of new board members as well. But then within that, we also, I mean, there's a couple things. We'll just have this first conversation around election of officers and then we'll talk about subcommittees after that. Is there any thoughts on election of officers today or any action items that people want to make a motion to move it to to when we're full or to our next month?
Leon, this is Tyler, if I may.
Absolutely.
Okay, I agree. I think it does make sense to push it off until our next meeting to table it. Just because, obviously, so the main person that we're missing right now is a vice president, right? Tony was the treasurer
Yes.
from the one meeting. So unless you foresee that you would be out at the next meeting, but even then, I guess, right, we can self-appoint a chair at the time to
Yep.
lead the meeting. So, so in light of that, I guess my preference would be to postpone or table any decisions regarding appointments until the August meeting. And just so that we can get a full board put together and then we can make our decisions collectively. The only other thing too, I know it's kind of a rarity that we would have because I ran for commission, Robin left and he chose not to remain on the board. I guess, I haven't really thought about it until right now, but would it make sense to change anything in the bylaws to push off the appointments until the August meeting, just to allow the new commission person to get situated? Again, knowing that what happened in June of '26 was kind of a rarity and unlikely to happen again.
Yeah, but it could happen, with changes of other officers or other committees or whatnot. What are there other thoughts to add on to Tyler's? And then we can kind of formulate a motion based on people's thoughts.
If I could jump in. I could be wrong, but I believe that the reference to the July meeting is coming from Century Code.
Oh, yeah, okay, thank you. We can't change Century Code.
I could be wrong. So we should double check that. But I do, and I would also maybe counsel that instead of specifying in the motion the August meeting, since you haven't had the discussion yet about how you want to fill the seat, we don't know how long you want to advertise that position opening for and what that process is going to look like. Maybe we want to be a little bit more ambiguous and make the motion until the seat is filled.
Sure. Do you think it's something, we can make that motion until the seat is filled, but could you also just double check for our next meeting around Century Code?
Yep.
Okay. Tony, Sarah, are there other thoughts?
I agree. I think we need to know the Century Code for sure. But I think I might be a little confused on this. Does a commissioner need to sit on the library board, or is it open to anyone? Because I do know, like Fargo's library board, they do always appoint a commissioner.
Mr. Erickson is a commissioner.
Okay. So we would just need another
Community
member.
So the commissioner role is filled.
Yes.
So we would need another public person to fill that seat. Okay. Sorry, I was confused. I didn't hear all of that, so.
No biggie.
Sarah, can you mute again? Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Tony, anything to add?
I was just going to say I agree with deferring this election.
Okay.
It is on.
Yeah, I'm on. I think I'm on.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we postpone election of officers and have officers remain as is without a vice president until we have a full board after the nomination of a new member.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments to that motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye?
Aye.
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 Perfect. So we will postpone that until we have a full board. And I know we have a couple more kind of talking items within this section, but then we will talk about kind of the appointment of new board members. So we did want to mention just a few pieces. And maybe what we can do, and I think Jenna referenced it, is if we could look at the bylaws. We won't read them here, but if by next meeting we could read through the bylaws and kind of really have a discussion around any other changes that we want to make to the bylaws. And then it gives Jenna time to check on Century Code too. But I think Jenna and I had talked about a change in section 9. Right now, it says that we all shall have the North Dakota Library Association membership, and I think in discussion, I'd like to propose that it change to may, that we may, but we would just change the verbiage from shall to may. And then, and any changes to the officer duties, so it gives us a moment to, or at least a month to look at the bylaws, kind of think about any changes, and then we can have that as an action item next month. And if there's any changes to officer duties or anything else, we can work on that then as well. And then a change when we get a full board and we have our new, and maybe it will happen before our new election of officers, but we're going, and Jenna, you may want to maybe give detail, but we're going to come into alignment with city practice and email convention and switch back to having our names for emails. I know like Tony and I have been part of that switch already once. And it is, I will say it's super confusing when I moved from treasurer to the president. Like I took over the past president's email account, so I saw what he emailed, I saw like, and the privacy there wasn't there. And so, and it aligns to city practice, so we would be moving back to that, names for emails. And I just think it's more open to like, this is who we are, and it provides then the flexibility as we move across maybe different officer positions.
I would agree with that last part. Yes.
Yeah.
It also potentially helps us avoid an open meeting law violation
Yeah.
by having
So-
a daisy chain of emails that was unintentional. Yeah.
Yep. And that's not an action item, that's just, that will be happening. Is that correct, Jenna? Sorry, that came out as a statement.
Yes, yep.
Okay. And then within this kind of business item, we also discussed, Jen and I discussed the potential of having 2 different subcommittees. So kind of divide and conquer some things that we need to continue to keep their eyes and ears on. And the 2 subcommittees that we really talked about would be in HR, a human resource subcommittee, to really look at policy updates, work through any proposed changes to hiring evaluation procedure ahead of board meetings to be able to bring more of a recommendation from board members instead of just Jenna and staff, so that we're more an integral part of that. And then a building subcommittee to have a couple people that can bring some of these discussions to meet with community stakeholders about a new building or whatever that may look like. I'm open to any other subcommittees, but those are the 2, like, as I've been on the board, for a few years here really would encompass a lot of the work that we discuss at board meetings and would be helpful to have board, excuse me, board participation.
Leanne, if this is
Yeah.
Tyler, if you could you tell me just one more time, just summarize what the subcommittees are? Building subcommittee and HR subcommittee.
And HR. So the building one would be, continuing to work with Jenna, but meeting with community stakeholders about options that may come to the table around new buildings, around, any work that happens, and then being able to place some of those items, hopefully, on a board agenda, just so there's voice there. And then the HR subcommittee, as we've tried to align the policies from the city and then the policies from what we had as a library board and really mesh them together, I think I know that I've had some confusion and some questions around that piece, and I want that to go better. And then just as we look at hiring or evaluations, I think we need, at least one person to really help with that piece as a subcommittee.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. And it really aligns with even through my commissioner orientation, the library board is it has its own autonomy in some ways. And I think having something like that, I want to stop short of saying that it is peculiar that we haven't had some of these subcommittees, before.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that these are great ideas. I support both of the building and the HR ones. Of course, from my legal perspective is that through other public entities that I've been on, when you have a subcommittee, they are subject to open records, open meetings typically. If the content that we would be discussing within those subcommittees would be sensitive, we would just want to maybe hesitate. Just in my experience, if we do elect to create a subcommittee pursuant to our authority, that same, whether it's advisory or a decision-making, whatever that subcommittee body is, it would still be subject to open records, open meetings. So that's just something to consider. I don't know if that was talked about at all. That's my experience, though. And I don't even know if you'd have to have a quorum of commissioners on it. I think that but I don't think that is a material. I don't think that's material to the open records, open meetings conversation. I think that whatever subcommittee that we create, I think it would still be subject to open records, open meetings, even if we didn't have a quorum of sitting directors on it. So just a consideration there.
We could double check that with
Yeah.
city attorney.
No, and I think that is good to double check, and we want to make sure we kind of have our I's dotted, T's crossed.
And so maybe for today, we don't want to call it a subcommittee, but maybe we would just want to pick a couple volunteers to deal with these topics
Yeah,
as they come up, and then as long as there's not a quorum or a daisy chain situation, then we would be avoiding.
yeah, and at least from my perspective, yes. If it really is more so just input from the director standpoint, and then having a presence in the room when the discussions are happening, I don't think, it wouldn't necessarily be a subcommittee.
Sure.
But, something along those lines. It'll be interesting to hear what legal has to say on that.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't know, Jenna, if you want names today, if that has to be an action item. I've been privy to kind of working in both arenas here with both building and HR. I'm happy to do either or. I guess my preference would be to remain working with the building pieces. I have high interest in that, but I think probably our whole board does too.
Sure. But then we run into an open meeting situation.
Yep. And so I'm happy if I need to step back, if other people are super excited about that too.
Yeah.
Leanne, this is Tyler one more time. I would say, I think it makes a lot of sense for you as the library board president to be on there. Are you the president?
I am.
Yes. I didn't know if you were like the chair or what the title was, but so you as the president, I think it makes a ton of sense to have you as the presence, in the room at those discussions. The only thing, I guess, for me is if, like from the commission perspective, is if I could have, if you could give me the perspective afterwards, that would be helpful. Just to have insight during that process. But, I would move to appoint, or I guess move to appoint Leanne as the board president to be the liaison for the building conversations.
Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor.
Do we like liaison more?
I actually do, in terms of it being less formal. Like, I actually like that. It's, as long as we can have, I think, some consistency across the board too. And I like your feedback around, let's have a liaison, but let's have that communication to other board members as well, separately, following all processes.
I will second that if that's a motion.
Okay, he did make it a motion, so we have a motion and a second for myself to be that building liaison and to work with Jenna on the building pieces. Other comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, there we go. Thanks, Sarah. Any thought on the human resources liaison?
If possible, I would like to be the liaison to that committee.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay. I will formally make a motion for Sarah to be the human resources liaison, and we had a second from Tyler. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, Sarah will be our human resources liaison. Perfect, thank you. I know that agenda item encompassed quite a bit, but we wanted to kind of chunk it out so that we could have some discussions around the different areas. Please take a look at the bylaws by our next meeting, and then come with any thoughts on any ideas to adjust, tweak, or anything else with that. The next agenda item is the appointment of new board members. We do have an open seat. I've spoken in the past around what could that process look like? I know that when I applied a few years ago, I did, like, everyone does the application process. But then then I was kind of just on the board. And last time we had folks come online, which I thought was good, but part of the board meeting. And I didn't know if there's any other thoughts on how we did the appointment of new board members, whether it is, when I was on the park board in a different city, we did interviews with certain members from the current board and city commission, and they kind of made that decision. Last time we made a decision we talked to each applicant, but I felt we didn't have enough time, or as a board, to really talk about it because it was all so public. And so I don't know if there's thoughts on how we can do that differently or better, or we kind of stay on the same pace or the same way and continue to look at it. So this one I did want to bring up, but we do need to get that application posted and then really talk about how long it should be open.
Leanne, this is Tyler. I hear Sarah's coming on. Sarah, do you want to go first?
I can, yes, and I apologize again for me having to drive in this, but I really like the idea of interviews. Not that I didn't like how the process went when I applied and I was I'm new to this, but I think an interview process would be great, and maybe even being able to open that up. If it is an open records thing, we could have an open meeting for those interviews. I know that probably takes more time from us, but I think the interview process is important.
Okay, thank you. Tyler, do you want to add on to Sarah's comments?
Yeah, I think that sounds good. I think it in effect kind of elevates the position. You take it more seriously. You know that that's going to be part of the appointment process, that we want somebody that cares about literacy, about funding public libraries, understands the challenges, has apprised themselves of what we do. The only concern that I have with the public meeting piece is that, maybe some of the things that we would talk about during an interview, the applicant or the candidate would maybe want to remain private. But I think that as the HR liaison, the HR liaison board members, I think that would be a really good thing for them to take on individually if they desire.
Yeah, those are good thoughts too. Thanks, Tyler. I like both of those thoughts from Sarah and Tyler. Tony, anything to add?
No, I don't think so. That's
Okay.
covers it pretty much.
So my suggestion is we get the application posted as quick as possible. I'm used to having it posted 10 working days. I don't know, we'd have to kind of look backwards timing wise to see. I don't think maybe we could get it done before our August meeting, but it would be a tight timeline. But I do like keeping it open 10 working days. And then if Sarah, as the HR liaison, wanted to work with Jenna on the process, whether it be just the one member helping with the interviews, or if they had really looked at, we're going to do it as a whole group and open the meeting. I'm okay either way if Sarah wanted to go and do, and then just communicate back to us. I saw nods. Sarah, are you okay with that?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Jenna, it doesn't need to be an action item? Are we good?
So, just for my staff, we need to know, we can post the existing form as it was previously. I'll pull up what it was previously. So, kind of just basic first name, last name, address, because we need to ensure that you are actually a resident of West Fargo. Contact information. You had an option to upload a resume. Tell us about yourself, and why you want to serve on the board of directors and what you hope to accomplish. So it was a fairly basic form. So if you wanted to add anything or take anything away there, just like when you apply to be a commissioner, this is public information when you apply, so.
Is that a disclaimer, or is that noted on here, that these will become public records?
I think we had, we can add that.
Yeah, we could add that, and then I'm okay, because it does become a public record, leaving it pretty general like this. I like the questions at the bottom, like, tell us about your skills and perspectives, why do you want to serve, and then what do you hope to accomplish? I think those are the three things that we would really want to hear from people. And then I would be okay if Sarah kind of took this, worked with you on it, and then kind of made those next steps, and then brought back any next step, or any recommendations or next steps at the August meeting, depending on how far we can get through the process. Is that too general, Jenna? Like, are you okay with that?
It's a little general. So,
Okay.
are we wanting Sarah to just do an interview with them, and then maybe like me or some,
I would like
we could
Sarah
like
to make.
set up a virtual interview, she could do ahead of time or whatever, or are you wanting the full board, because it's been mentioned to have like a public open meeting interview, and it's also been mentioned that Sarah would maybe just interview them.
Sure. I guess and again, we can take direction from the board here, of course, but my hope would be that because Sarah's the HR liaison, that she would kind of take that on and work with you on that. And if and maybe because the way it's coming out, if a decision was made that we wanted if Sarah and you worked through it, and you're like, yep, we want an open meeting and we want all board members there, that would be communicated to us from Sarah, and that's what we would do.
Okay.
But if that's too general, Jenna, I totally get it. I just, I think we are all in agreement that we want to do something a little bit more or different for this next opening. And if we're going to have like a HR liaison, I would want that person to really take on that kind of role of decision making. But also, I do know that the board is here to make decisions. So I know that's maybe a fine balance there.
So in summary, what I'm hearing is, for now, post the application as is, we're good with that. And then I will meet with Sarah and put a plan together for the actual interview process. And then she will, through me, to avoid
Yes.
the meeting violation, communicate
Yes.
her recommendation to the board about what that's going to look like, and whether or not we're adding that as an agenda item in August.
Yeah, that's what, I guess I'm comfortable with that piece. Any other comments from the rest of the board?
No, I agree. I think that sounds good. Just to recap, we'll post, Jenna will coordinate how the interviews will be done along with Sarah as the liaison. And then if any heightened desire comes to have a public meeting interview, then she'll communicate that to us. And yeah, I think that's good with me.
Sounds good.
Okay, but we'll plan to have this posted through probably the end of the month.
Yeah, looking at the date today, I think that's wise.
Okay,
Hey, is that enough direction, Jenna? Sorry.
yep.
Okay. All right. Next one is our next agenda item is Q2 strategic plan goals update.
Thanks.
And Leanne, if I can, really quick, Jenna, before you begin, I just looked, I'm in the Century Code all day. And so I just looked at 403803, appointment of vacancies. 403803 sub 4 says immediately after the appointment of its members, the Board of Directors shall meet and organize by electing a president. The governing board of the municipality or county establishing the public library may, in lieu of appointing a library board, contract directly with the library board. To me, that says immediately after the appointments of all the members are done, then you can elect the president. That's 30 seconds of research. So,
Great.
for what that's worth.
Okay, thanks for looking into that quickly here. And I think then the action items that we have on the table and that we approved kind of follow that. And so it sounds like we should be in pretty good shape.
Yep,
Okay,
agreed.
thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful. All right. So I just wanted to give a real brief update on where we're at with our strategic plan in quarter 2. Just as a refresher, this is the kind of graphic overview of the areas of focus for our strategic plan and what those look like.
Jenna, are you presenting something?
I am. Is it not showing up?
It's not.
We can't see it online.
Maybe it's because I did presenter mode. Does it show up like this?
No.
Okay. It's live on YouTube. Okay. Well,
Okay. I'll listen
okay.
with my ears.
So some updates from our defined goals. We wanted to increase library card signups by 15% by 2028, so that's a 5% increase annually. We are a little behind on our goal for the first half of the year, but we are still very optimistic. We've confirmed that student cards are coming for all K through 12 students in the fall for West Fargo Public Schools. Through that registration process, families had the opportunity to opt in their students to sign up for a student card with our library system. That was very exciting. We are also currently working on a library card design contest that's open through the end of the month. There's been a lot of excitement about that. And we think that's going to really drive interest in wanting to get a new library card just in time for September, which is library card sign-up month. So we'll have a big push for that as well. So looking forward to hopefully a substantial increase in library card signups in the next quarter here. Another goal was to increase usage of e-resources by 15% by 2028, so a 5% increase annually. Focusing specifically on the databases we purchase on our own. So that would be Consumer Reports, New York Times, Peterson's Test Prep, and Udemy. Udemy and New York Times are very popular. We have surpassed last year's total unique users already for Udemy. I have found when I'm working at the circulation desk, folks are talking about it a lot. And it's just one of those things where you can take classes to advance your skill set for your career, but also there's some hobby classes on there as well. And so it's fun to see people being really engaged with that. We've found that attendance for computer classes, when we've tried to have those in the library now, that's just really not what people tend to be looking for lately. They want that on-demand learning, and that's what Udemy is providing. So glad to see that being used. Our new featured resources section on our website homepage is getting really high traffic. So please check that out if you haven't looked at that yet. And our circulation staff have been training on different e-resources each month to make sure that when they're answering questions for people at the desk, maybe they come in looking for something, we don't have a specific book, but we have an e-resource that meets that need. Or we do have a specific book, but also you should know about this as well. So we have that yes and answer ready to go for them. We wanted to increase our satellite library usage by 15% by 2028. So again, looking for that 5% increase annually. Both circulation and visits are on track to achieve at least 5% increase by the end of this year. I cannot wait to show you the statistics for our satellite usage in June especially. It was our highest month so far. We wanted to increase the browsability of library collections in 2026. So some updates on that. Our large print has been shifted to have books only on 4 rows per column instead of 5. So this makes it easier for patrons to see without having to bend down so far. So they're not as far down on the ground. We have them up a little bit higher. We are also adding a new easy reader and picture book nonfiction section instead of interfiling the nonfiction and the fiction together. So this way, if you come in with your kiddos and you want to find all the dinosaur books are going to be together in nonfiction. If you're looking for like the facts about dinosaurs, as a parent, that is very exciting for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We want to improve City of West Fargo staff's understanding of library services in 2026. We want the staff to be shouting from the rooftops about all of the wonderful things that we have going on at the library, not just the library staff, but everybody that works for Team West Fargo. And so we are continuing to collaborate with HR and city communications to include information in staff newsletters, on the staff intranet, and to present the West Fargo Library Card as a benefit to new city staff members. We've also kind of solidified the workflow for booking the commission chambers here for meetings and library events and what that looks like. Staff from the library are participating in City of West Fargo groups and committees to make sure that our voice is being heard and we're collaborating in as many forums as we can. And we're also participating in a City of West Fargo employee book club, which is just starting up. So we'll be kind of guiding that and look forward to getting to know even more city staff members through that as well. We want to continue to work towards securing a new library location. And we talked about that a little earlier with wanting to find a liaison to work with some of those discussions. So there are some ongoing discussions with potential facility partners, community stakeholders, and things. We want to keep as many plates spinning on that as possible, and definitely will be sharing with the board what we can as things become shareable in a public meeting format. But thank you for appointing Leanne to that position so we can continue to have a board presence in some of those meetings. And this one is achieved, so that's really exciting. We removed that $1 replacement card fee. So that has made our circulation does experience better for a lot of library patrons, just not having to worry about that when they lose that card. We wanted to consider an expansion of our Library of Things collection. Library of Things is a little bit jargony, but that is just the collection that is not books, movies, audiobooks, the non-typical library items. And so we're doing some analysis to determine what would be most useful to community members. Some of the things we have currently would be like our memory care kits that we have, our story time kits, things of that nature. Hotspots, Ozobots. Improve meeting room and study space options and procedures. So just as a refresher for the board, we did change our meeting room procedures for the satellite library earlier in the year. Previously, to use any of our meeting rooms, we had you fill out a form so that we could track all of our statistics. We decided that because the satellite didn't have table space for somebody to sit down and read a newspaper, work on taxes, or whatever you were coming to the library to work on, those study rooms, meeting rooms here were sort of filling that need. So we wanted to just leave the doors open and let people use them in a walk-in sort of basis. We are tracking the statistics of people that are coming in and using those, but we have simplified it so it's not as tedious to fill out the form every time. So we would like to kind of look at an updated online reservation process potentially for our main library, and taking a look at the submission of same-day requests and things of that. So we're going to take a peek at that a little bit more this fall and see what we can do there.
Jenna, quick question on that one.
Yeah.
So sometimes I, rather than go behind the dais here and go and work back here, I like to work in the library. So are you thinking that we're going to transition to this online only reservation for those rooms?
No.
No. Okay.
Nope. We just want to make the process easier for people so you're not having to fill out a big form every time.
Gotcha.
That's all.
So some days if I come in and it's open, I'll still be able to ask
Yeah.
and just go in. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
We're trying to we want to make the main library easier like it is at the satellite, is what we're looking for.
Got it.
Yeah, if possible. We'd like to continue to work with West Fargo Public Schools to support students in the summer. During those summer months, that's when the summer slide happens of skill loss that they've worked so hard on those reading and math skills and things during the school year. So we want to continue to provide engagement and programming and our reading program, of course, to keep them engaged reading all summer long to avoid that learning loss that occurs over the summer. So our Library on Wheels stops are happening in West Fargo parks. This summer, we tried to hit as many parks as possible across West Fargo. We've been using the Ladone Center gym for a lot of our summer programs, which has significantly increased our capacity. And happy to report that 55% of Summer Boost Reading Challenge participants are school-age readers, so we really are meeting that goal of wanting to support those elementary and school-age kids in that, preventing that learning loss. Our youth services team wanted to expand teen programs to include more social connection opportunities, and this came directly from feedback that we were getting from the teens themselves. An update on that, so they haven't quite expanded that programming yet. The Teen Dungeons and Dragons programs continue to be very popular, and the weekly teen programs this summer have definitely had regulars, so we know that they're coming and they're making those social connections. But we did hire that additional youth services librarian, and they have been very focused on planning teen programming and working on the young adult collection. So I look forward to seeing that expand very soon. But we're in the planning phase at the moment. I've heard lots of great ideas. We are exploring the creation of a read and return collection. Our management team has been discussing how and where to implement this. We've been working on weeding and shifting in phases to make some space, and happy to report the first phase is complete. We're hoping to be able to launch this new collection in the fall. A read and return collection is really great for any folks that don't qualify for a library card for some reason. Maybe they're out of the area, or if you are going on a long trip and you don't want to check out a book to take with you, you just want one to take and leave at the cabin or wherever you're going. Those books are great for that. So. We're also working on a 3 to 5 year technology plan. The phase that we're in at the moment is working on our inventory and determining future needs. Working on the inventory has been more of a challenge than we thought it would be. The IT department for the city has an inventory, and we had our own inventory, and the two were not the same. And there are lots of things that weren't being tracked on an inventory that we're deciding what really needs to be on here and what doesn't. So this is an in-progress item, but looking forward to having that completed. We also wanted to update some of the aging furniture in the main library meeting rooms and readers' seating. We did replace the tables in meeting room 2 and a few in the Friends Nook. I was able to purchase a couple tables through an auction when the old Moorhead Library closed, and then get some matching ones, brand new as well, so that was some cost savings for us there. And the new ones with the casters are so much easier to move. It's really nice. We're not getting any complaints about the noise of the tables being moved and stuff from downstairs neighbors anymore, so that's lovely. Just a couple other things, some other action items that have been taken supporting core values and areas of focus. Our technology tutoring program returned April 1st as soon as we had more staff in place in our adult services department. A new program that adult services added in response to some feedback is called Golden Gatherings Senior Social Hours. Maybe just a quick story about that one is in one of our book clubs, a regular attender at our book club had mentioned that her 93-year-old mother was home and she wasn't reading anymore because there weren't any good books, and she didn't want to come to book club because she didn't like the books that they were picking, but she just needed a social activity. And so they started coming together to the senior social hour. Both the mother and the daughter are, retired and living together. Happy to report that since the 93-year-old mother is now checking out stacks of books since coming to this Golden Gatherings, and whenever her daughter comes to book clubs, she's always texting to request even additional books to bring home too. So really glad that she's gotten connected and is reading more. That's a really wonderful outcome there. We had our Stage West Popcorn Theater shows here in the commission chambers by our satellite library. Fargo Cass Public Health will be doing some vaccine clinics with us. We've had lots of meetings with potential community partners. There's some ongoing public information campaigns. We currently have a display up at the main library from the City Forestry Department that has been intensely popular about tree planting, some insects to be aware of, tree care, pruning, things like that. And there's some really fun grab-and-go things for kids on there as well. It's been really hard to keep it stocked with how busy the library's been. It's fun to see the kids and adults grabbing things off of that display. And then obviously just offering hundreds of lifelong learning opportunities both in the library and virtually as well. Any questions from the board about any of those things or anything else related to our strategic plan?
Thanks for those updates, Jenna. Fun to hear kind of the ins and outs of what's going on in the library. Anyone else comments or questions for Jenna? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for that. I think our last agenda item is the director's report, and I know some of it overlapped with at least what I heard, because I can see the director's report. But Jenna, do you want to go through the director's report?
Yeah. Finance-wise, we are 40% expended year to date, so on track there. I did want to mention we had a couple income pieces of note. One was our state aid came through in between our last meetings here, and so that was just over $44,000. Our state aid is determined by an equation, and it has to do with our population and mill levy support from the city commission. So if our mill levy were to go down, the amount of our state aid would also go down as well. We also had an opportunity and took it to auction, our old blue van. This is a van that the police department had for a really long time, and it came into possession of the library, and it had outlived its life many times over, and became too expensive to fix to keep running, and it hadn't been running for a while. So we put that up for auction, and so we got little over $1,000 for that. I did want to note that while we do have the library on wheels, that is primarily our outreach vehicle. It does have the ramp and the specialized shelving in there. And so we're taking that to our outreach stops, like the parks and our senior centers when we go to those. But our staff do a ton of driving back and forth between our locations, bringing books back and forth and things like that. And so having an additional vehicle as a runner is pretty important. Otherwise, we are paying staff mileage. So it's important for the board to know that. I did reach out to Public Works to find out what it would cost to get a fleet vehicle. I asked about just getting like a sedan. There were no sedans available in state procurement this year. They recommended getting a Chevy Equinox. And so I have a couple details on there. We also did an analysis of how much we are actually driving year-round, and it looks like 10 taking the mileage for how much we're driving the library on wheels out of the equation and just how much we're driving a second vehicle. In the winter, we're driving around 250 miles or 215 miles a month in the winter and 245 miles a month in the summer. Bringing materials back and forth, that's just the number of trips back and forth, kind of between the locations, picking up off-site book drops, things like that. Update on our budget and where we are at with that. So in the month of July here, the city is still working on their preliminary budget. At the next commission meeting, they will be presenting a little bit more in-depth detail on the city's preliminary budget. And that'll give us a better picture of where we're sitting and what we might be looking at. And then they're looking to approve a preliminary budget in August, probably. September is when we would hope to bring a draft of the library's final budget to the board for kind of that first look, feedback, see if there's anything we want to change. That's when the city is also going to be having public hearings on their budget as well. In October, the city will be passing their final budget, usually the very beginning of October. It's due to the county auditor on or before October 10th. The library budget, the last couple years, we have finalized at our October meeting after the levy has been set by the final city budget. That way, we're not having to do a budget amendment immediately. So then what happens then is we just update the library page in the city's budget book once that has been finalized for us, if there's any updates to be made. And like I said, I was really excited to show you this page, the satellite library statistics. Our physical circulation is the highest we've had, and the door count is the highest we've had at the satellite yet. So that is thrilling. Physical circulation, sorry, Leon, I just remembered you can't see this on your screen. Oh, but you have the...
I can follow along to this one.
Okay,
so
great.
You're doing great because you're prompting it well, and I can just follow along. We're good.
Beautiful. Main library, physical circulation was just under 17,000, and our door count was over 7,000. That was our highest door count in the last 6 years. It was really exciting to have such a big month circulation and foot traffic wise at both of our locations. Despite being a little bit down in our program attendance, what this tells us is that the city of West Fargo is still really excited about our traditional library services, and they're using those very heavily. There's that door count number. Just another way to look at that astronomical door count we had. Ellen's going to have to add another line to our chart, I think, if this goes any higher. Total circulation. Across the board, this continues to be a record high. Just for kind of a community comparison, there was an article in the Forum about the Moorhead Library that just opened up. And in the Forum article, it mentioned that since opening, their circulation was way up, and they had a total of 20,701 items circulated in June. So we were above that.
That's remarkable.
Our electronic circulation is huge, especially on Libby. I know we were worried a few years ago, in 2024, when we got rid of Hoopla, what the effect of that was going to be. It's done nothing but grow since we got rid of Hoopla. Adult programs, movies in the commission chambers. I know I say this every month, but they continue to be super popular. This month, we've been showing family-friendly titles about dinosaurs. The Golden Gatherings program that I mentioned earlier has been really well-received. Great conversations. They're not particularly structured. There's no real agenda at those. They're really led by what the attendees want to talk about, what they're interested in learning. And then our adult services staff are on hand to help with signing up for library cards, answering questions about technology, getting you connected to a library program or a community program, whatever people are interested in. We've also seen people exchange contact information at those to attend something else together later. So that goal of inspiring community connections is definitely happening at those. We also started a series of silent reading parties in local parks. That's a Library on Wheels stop for adults. And this team is hard at work planning fall events, particularly around the One Book, One Community program, which will be reading The Birth of Loud, which is about the guitar innovation rivalry, really, between Leo Fender and Les Paul. Rumor has it that Mark Burnson, who is the guitar classes instructor for West Fargo Public Schools, will be attending some of the book club meetings to talk about the book and kind of talk about his guitar classes. And he's kind of a local celebrity too, so that'll be really fun to get his perspective on the book and these two guys, and then also to hear about what's been happening in the schools a little bit too. For our youth and family programs, we had over 1,000 attendees in June, so more than last year. We had over 200 people come for our 4th of July party. That's going to be like next month when I report on July things, but it was notable, so I wanted to mention it now. We had about 100 of those people come in the right away, the first part in the beginning. So our youth services team is really incredible at scrambling and figuring out how to accommodate loads of people in a minimal amount of space, and they're just wonderful. This team has been really busy with the weekly summer booth programming and Library on Wheels stops. The summer kickoff party was really successful with nearly 300 attendees at the end of May. Our story times, of course, are very popular, and we have added a second session of the Teeter Tots story time for this summer. So yeah, that America's Birthday Party had nearly 200 people for 4th of July festivities. We are in the middle of that summer reading challenge. If you haven't signed up yet, board members, you absolutely should. It's for all ages. You can track on paper or using the Beanstack Tracker app. And the dinosaur, paleontology, archaeology theme this year is super fun. The prizes are great. We've had great reviews for those at the library. Here's kind of what's left of the Library on Wheels stops. We've taken some of the bubbles off for the stops that have already occurred, but as you can see, there's a lot of stops left. coming up. So Tintus Park, Elmwood, Rendezvous, Dakota, Shadowwood, Rivers Bend, Maplewood, and Goldenwood parks. Lots of stops left this summer. So we hope to see you out there, and we hope the weather is great. We have had to cancel a couple this summer due to rainouts. That happens every year. We're also looking forward to that end of summer celebration. Please put it on your calendars. It's always really great to have some board members there. That's coming up on Thursday, August 13th, and that'll be at the Palmia Plaza from 5 to 7 p.m. And we have that library card design contest that I mentioned earlier going on right now through July 31st. There will be submission levels for artists of all ages, so kids and adults, and then we'll be voting on those. Any questions from board members?
I think Sarah had her hand up.
I do. Hopefully you can hear me better now. I have a question related to summer reading signups. Do we have the numbers for that initial sign up yet, or is that going to be reported in your July stats?
Great question.
question.
I think I got an
update earlier.
We were currently at 774 registrations for summer reading challenges. So that's 100 more than last year's total.
Thank you.
Awesome. I also have a question. The end of the summer celebration on the 13th, it's the same day as our library board meeting,
Yeah.
which is at 5.
Should we just have it outside?
That would be awesome. We could have a very big open meeting with
Absolutely.
I'm sure there's going to be food there. So
There's nothing that says we can't.
Well, I mean, do the other board members have thoughts? I don't know. We certainly can do it there. We can adjust the date. I don't know, depending on where we get with applications, I don't know if there's a lot of other items. Oh, we did want to review any bylaws, but it's totally up to the board.
Was the question just whether to have it at all in August? Is that what the?
No, I wasn't going to pose that because I thought we do have some, we need to keep moving on applications and any of that. We could push it to September. I guess I'm not opposed, Tyler. It's really whatever the board wants to do. Just as I was adding the end of the summer celebration to my calendar, I saw it overlapped with our normal scheduled meeting.
Oh.
So whatever the board wants to do, if it gives maybe Sarah and Jenna a little more time for the HR pieces, but
for the meeting to move it to September.
yeah, but also budget-wise, I think we probably have some things we need to continue talking about budget-wise, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Also, did we at that meeting in August, do we want to make sure that we have, our president, vice president, treasurer noted at that meeting?
If we have a full board, I think we're going to wait until we have a full board.
I'd be fine. I'm fine either way, to be honest. I think having a meeting outside would be really cool, and having it streamed on YouTube to show the celebration. But the other part of me thinks that having more time for interviews, especially now that we're in mid-July, would be good.
Okay.
It sounds like there may be issues with the streaming it, if we do it that way. I'm not sure, but I'm open to just having it in commission chambers.
But we can't have it on that date because we have the end of the year library celebration.
Oh, and Jenna, you'll be there. You'll be at that.
And we should, hopefully we can be in attendance at some point too.
Right.
Would you want to just change the time of the board meeting?
Good.
Are we looking before? Because if we're looking at before, I'm gonna have to be a no.
I guess looking at the budgetary timeline, we wouldn't have to meet in August. And if it gives Sarah some more time, we could cancel our August, we'd need a motion on this, but cancel our August meeting. But then have that open record that we, in some accordance, will be in attendance at the end of the year celebration. Is that good? Jenna, can you foresee anything that we would need to meet on in August?
Yeah, there's a couple items.
Okay. Then I do think either we change times, but Sarah has, no, and I would also agree, like we got teachers coming back the next week and it's just a tough week, but if there's another day, like does 5 o'clock on the 12th work for people? It's a Wednesday, like, does that work?
That would work for me.
Works for me.
Tony, you good?
Hold on.
Okay.
Looks like the commission chambers are open at the moment on that Wednesday.
5 o'clock on the 12th?
But 5 o'clock on the 12th, so that Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yep, that works?
Yes, that's a yes.
Okay. So I will make a motion to adjust our August meeting date to Wednesday, August 12th at 5 p.m. in the chambers or virtual as you can make it.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you for that. Any other questions on the director's report for Jenna? All right, we've come to the conclusion of our meeting. I make a motion to end our meeting.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thanks. Happy July, and we'll see you guys in August.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
The green light, sorry.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you guys.